made. This really is big news, folks. This is, to me, this is big news, because this shows, I mean, there's a lot of, over the years, over the last 5 years, I've been talking about this. There's a lot of different people out there who've done work on these documents. For instance, like Ryan Wood and his father, Robert Wood. This is a book from Ryan Wood, Magic Eyes Only. They did a lot of work on this document that was dated from 1954, that was leaked in 1990 to a UFO researcher. The Special Operations Manual, this big, huge manual that shows how people working for the secret control group for Majestic 12 cover things up. How they create and alien bodies and recovered craft. I mean, how do they ship them? What do they do? How do they respond to the public? I talked about that before too in the past. There's so many different aspects to these leaked documents, and I think that this is like this new evidence now is like, to me, is like a domino effect. It helps validate all of it. And you're going to see what I'm talking about here as we go through this. But anyway, this is what MJ12 Logic writes. I recently spent some time reviewing the Majestic documents to see whether they shared any consistent identifying markers that could be used for corroboration. If folks have seen this validation elsewhere, please let me know. I have not seen it before, so you're the one who discovered this, MJ12 Logic. You're the one who deserves the credit for this one. This post will be less writing and more concerned with simply sharing some relevant evidence I recently discovered validating the veracity of certain Majestic documents. And then he talks about this number on some recently released CIA documents that were declassified in 2022. And this number on some of these documents is 834021. And this is with regard to the Operation Paperclip, which was an effort to bring in Nazi scientists back in the 40s to work on atomic programs for the United States. And those were the documents that were declassified in 2022, documents from the CIA pertaining to this Operation Paperclip. And this number, 834021, is all over those documents, which nobody in the public ever saw those numbers before. They were on those documents that were just released until 2022. Nobody saw that number before until MJ12 Logic figured this out. And this is what he writes about that number. He says, eventually, I realized that a few of the Majestic docs have a stamp in the lower right-hand corner with the identifying number 834021, followed by the corresponding page number. Curious to see if this existed with any contemporaneous declassified evidence, I checked the CIA Freedom of Information Act portal. And then he has an image here from that portal, from the CIA portal on that. And he continues here. He says, much to my pleasant surprise, I discovered this was not some random, irrelevant document. Far from it. As it would turn out, I had discovered, I think he meant to say random, irrelevant number. Far from it. As it would turn out, I had discovered 345 pages of paperclip intelligence documents that were only declassified on June 22nd, 2022. Literally not even 4 years ago. And then I realized something even cooler. It turned out that all of these docs also had the 834021 identifying stamp in the lower right-hand corner of each page. For example, here is a screenshot showing 4 of the 345 pages, each of which with the 834021 circled in red for reference. And then he has images from these documents. Actually, I'll pull them up on the screen right now. These are the documents he's talking about. This is right from the CIA.gov website. These are declassified documents. And you'll see here on the bottom of the page, 834021. 8340, it keeps showing up every page just about, right? There we go again, 834021. So it's on all these pages of this document. And this was, the subject was intelligence value of German scientists in the atomic energy field. So that's what he's talking about there. This document, those documents, all those pages that were declassified not until 2022, long after these Majestic 12 documents were getting leaked, starting in the 1980s. And then he goes on, he says, now here are the relevant Majestic documents I mentioned earlier. First, not surprisingly, is a CIA JIOA paperclip document, URL in screenshot below, that also bears this routing number in addition to the MJ12 name on the distribution list. There it is. See the numbers. Hold on a second. Put it up there. Right here. He has a number circled. It's on this. This was a document that was leaked back in, I believe this one was leaked back in the 1980s. Yes, and this is one of the MJ12 majestic documents that you could that were leaked. And actually, there's a website that Ryan Wood has, Robert and Ryan Wood on majesticdocuments.com. They have just about everything on there that has been leaked, including that special operations manual. And you can see that the number is written on there. And here's another one. It says, also, for example, is the table of contents for this MJ12 annual report. Note the 834021 in the lower right-hand corner. And there's another number he found on this one. It says ER12735 in the upper right-hand corner, as also seen on page 3 of this recently declassified file. So you see these numbers are on these pages. Yeah, on the bottom you have the 834021, and at the top he noticed there was another number, so he wanted to check this number out too. This ER, where was it at here? In the upper right hand corner. Yeah, this right here, ER12735, and he found that. He went back to some of the CIA documents and he found that number appear in another declassified document. Now this is never the one that we're looking at right now. This has not been declassified. This is the government is, oh, that's not those that's all phony. No, now it looks like it's not phony now, because, well, how could they possibly have the same identifying markers on there? How could that be possible? You're going to tell me that some hoaxer back in the 80s and 90s thought all of this through, even the numbers like this? It's impossible, folks. When you think about this, it becomes impossible. And this document here, this leaked document, was not for public inspection, and it dealt with UFOs. It says here on the top, it says the aforementioned panel under the direct presidential directive signed on 26 September 1947 has been tasked with responsibility of providing answers to a most troublesome and disturbing phenomena that of otherworld visitation and what it portends for the human family. In it is in this vein that the panel has addressed the problem, and in providing possible answers. He goes on here, he says, and then there's another number here, the A1762.1. Relatedly, I ran a check against the routing number A1762.1 in the CIA FOIA portal. Unsurprisingly, it yielded one single result. And he says, more surprising, and he has the result right here. It did come up. There was a Joint Intelligence Committee memorandum from 1950 that came up, so that number did exist too, right? And he found that that number was from one of the leaked documents that was never declassified, that the government says aren't real, right? But that number does appear on other documents, right? On a different document. And then he goes on. More surprising to me, however, was that this yielded one hit on page 3 of 5 of this PDF declassified on June 13, 2003. One positive match with the A-1762.1 identifier. Even more interesting was that this doc actually had one additional identifier, ER1-2735. That was the other one that we're talking about, in the upper right-hand corner, which is seen in the MJ annual report immediately following the image, and in the immediately preceding MJ table of contents. So yeah, so he has these numbers circled on these docs. I'm going to leave the links for all of this stuff so you can check it out for yourself. And then it goes on here. Within the first MJ12 annual report screenshot below, see the matching executive registry number ER12735 in the upper right-hand corner, in addition to the matching A-1762.1 in the middle of the page here. So there's all told, he's talking about 3 different identifier numbers that he found in declassified documents from the government that also appeared in certain MJ12 documents that talk about the recovery of the object in Roswell, as well as alien bodies and all of that stuff. I'm going to show you how all of this connects in a second. It's unbelievable. Right here, this document here, there's that on the top hand corner there. You can see the ER12735, and this is a leaked document that the government says isn't real. The government has told us in the past that these documents that were leaked were bogus, and now we could plainly see that they're not bogus, because a lot of them have the same identifying numbers that were on some of the CIA documents that were on on some different CIA documents related to other closely